thrilled he's passing the sweets. At least I know that sugar high and somebody will be listening to me. Maybe a little also to help us. I'm just curious, how many from schools were, teaching in schools here on course? Nobody? So all of us are academicians here teaching in NIE. Can you help me understand? Because then it will help me craft. There are many things. I'm trying to tell you what has happened across the whole of last year and our plans and all that. And there are many things that cannot be squeezed in 25 minutes. So help me understand. Are you all coming in from a practitioner's point of view or the researcher's point of view? Practitioners. Okay, all right. Then I'll go into my practitioners. Yes, I'm a practitioner myself. I may be just newly promoted to DB, but I still hang on to one class of English because it keeps me sane rather than reading all that email.
In the Singapore classroom, you won't find any textbooks, but you'll find the Apple iPad. About 30 of them, in fact, as part of...
Okay. I won't show the whole of this particular video. You can easily YouTube it, Reuters. They came in last year. What I wanted to show you was how the classroom looks like. We couldn't take mobile learning out there, so okay, this is really lame. We wanted the mobility in the classroom, so they are all on roller chairs, tablets and stuff like that. It's not just being silly about it. It really is to facilitate group learning. We reconceptualized what teaching ought to be, not frontal teaching like this. We even got rid of the notice boards at the back of the room. We painted it with idea paint. So for practitioners, you want it such that the challenge was that I wanted teachers to go into a class and don't know where to stand. Because the kids are everywhere, they can be grouped everywhere. You don't need to just write on the front. You can write at the back because you can just pick up a marker and write on the wall. The kids do it all the time, that's fine. You just erase it and stuff like that. And you really don't need to project because, hello, everybody has got their own, whatever it is, Keynote or PowerPoint already on their laptop. So, sorry. Okay, so what was it that we were after? Really, it was like, those of you who were with me in the morning, you know that I said it was never about the iPad. It really was trying to meet the needs of our 21st century students. And what was presented earlier on was a framework, and this morning also different frameworks about what teaching and learning ought to be like. And so what we did in Nanyang was that we were looking very much at a particular framework of learning we wanted to take place based on theory, based on not just gut instinct, folk wisdom, but what is good teaching and learning. And one of the things that we realized with kids is that they need to feel excited about learning. We need to bring back the passion. And for them it's the easiest thing for them to bring back passion is to let them see, hey, this is real life, this is not school. So you can either physically bring them out or try and bring them in using, you notice when you're as a teacher, what's the best way to bring, if your kids are falling asleep or even here, if to make you wake up, the first thing is, oh, we're going to watch a YouTube. Ding! They're all with you all of a sudden. Why is that so? Really, it is to bring life, and they have so other dimensions to look at rather than this boring teacher that's in front. So real life connection and application. Of course, I'm joking about it, but my own research when I was doing my PhD with the kids was, I was trying to find out for them what really would make it tick for them, what's switching them off. And one of the things was that, why are we learning this? What do you mean, why are you learning differentiation? Differentiation is important to you, You're going to, when you grow up and you say, Joe, I'm not interested in when I grow up. I want to know why I need to learn it now. Okay, so we need to help them understand why it's important for them now. How is it applicable now? And kids, they're social. They love to interact, so we need to bring that into the learning. And this morning, the idea of personalization. Yes, every kid is going to be different, so how can we personalize? And hello, we are outnumbered, in case you didn't notice. We one teacher, there are many of them, so how can we personalize it? What can we use to help? At the same time, I mean, I love the fact that we were talking about social cognitivists in the morning. The whole idea really is about the metacognition. We think about it, the context, we understand and help the kids co-construct. It's not about information transmission. And anybody who, you know, has been reading about Black and William and know about the insane meta-studies by Hattie would know that feedback is the thing that will help kids improve. Feedback, plain and simple. So if there's one way that technology can help us give feedback, that would be great. So this is why in the end, after looking at what it is that we wanted, then we decided there was no choice. We have to go one-to-one computing. Those of you who were with me this morning, I was telling you, the way I sold it to my teachers was saying that, look, I need to help you, and I'll help you by bringing, for each of the children that's with you, one teacher aid. And the iPad was it. Okay, we could have gone other way. We could have gone with a clamshell. We could have gone, but in the end, it really was iPad. At that point in time when we went, it was just iPad 1. Thank goodness iPad 2 came along. Those who have struggled with iPad 1 will know how it was insane. Trying to project was crazy, and there was no camera and all that. Okay, the practitioners, those who are school admin, you understand this. You know what was, okay, the teacher in me went with the iPad because of iBook and the touch interface. It was intuitive, I loved it, it was powerful, but the administrator in me took on iPad simply because of battery life. It's a very prosaic reason. I didn't have money to plant 36 or 40 PowerPoints in class so that at the end, by recess time, 10 o'clock, kids can, you know, juice up. I don't have the money for infrastructure like that. Everybody thinks independent schools are very rich. They're not. There are independent schools and there are independent schools. There are some that are richer than others. But it was just battery life, plain and simple. It helped that iPad is, boom, you're there. The practitioner in me knows that we have 40 minutes of class time. I go in, this is a learning device, it's not an assessment device, just to preempt any questions later on. So how has your assessment changed? The formative assessment has changed, not the summative. And if we can do something about formative assessment, we are already there, you know, because of the feedback, the channel that's come through. So it's a learning device. In other words, you go in, you're off with your lesson. We don't have to wait for it to boot up. And that was what sold it for us, the iPad. And so, again, those of you who are practitioners, you want to, you know, get this up in your school and all that kind of thing. There were lots of the things. It was not just bringing the iPad into class. Yes, we piloted it for class. Right now, all Sec 2 classes are on iPad. But that is, and yeah, we have our little dim sum trolleys for those levels that do not have the iPad. So each department has a set of 36 because our class size maximum 36. They can bring it, anybody can book it out for the department and you can bring it and then you bring, we don't have to bring them to the computer lab. You bring the computers to them, you bring the iPad to them. But we tweaked other things as well. We've tweaked it, because if we believe in metacognition, we believe in feedback, we believe in all that kind of thing, peer collaboration, discussion, even the timetable has to change. Okay, you cannot like thing, then you have to crank it all out all again. Teachers, we believe in supporting the teachers, so there are termly team meetings, and the most important, powerful thing that we discovered was that really and I have to thank the schools that I went to ask, Catholic High and Crescent and all. The thing that really changed it, the tipping point, was what we call the technology integration specialist, like your ICT mentor, except that these people are specially offloaded so that they will sit down with the departments during their weekly meetings and say, okay guys, next week what are you doing again? oral activity, why don't you try this? You know, audio note. Okay, or you guys here, mind maps, okay, why don't you try this? Okay, because there are so many apps out there and they keep changing. You know, some of the apps that we use now, we no longer use. Some of the apps we thought was good, but you know, we don't have that time to be experimenting. And anyway, you need a certain mental predisposition to be that kind of people out there in the frontier, machete and parang, and trying things out. You know, some people just, please tell me what to use, I'm bewildered. So the TIS helps a lot. There was incredible support, because one of the things you were saying that the kids, why they took to it 24/7 is because they have it all the time. With the teachers, we found that those, even within the pilot group, those who didn't buy the iPad, it wasn't theirs, didn't quite take to it, although they were, you know, fairly, tech savvy and all that kind of thing. It's those who owned it then really took to it off in a big way. So what we did in school was that we subsidized all teachers $300 only if you buy the iPad. We're not going to pay for the iPad. You know, go, and then it's yours, kind of thing. So that helped a lot. So of course, those of you who have seen press releases, how happy the girls are when they got it. How has it changed in the 1 year that we have? Now is a lot of experiment. If you're ever going to try it out, please come talk to us. We'd love to share. Because when I was on this journey, I thank the schools that helped us cut corners because we had to hit the ground running. So we would love to share our learning journeys along the way. So even things like the chairs and the how big the size the tablet counts. The girls will whine to how tired they were, and I realized, why are they complaining they're tired? Because, okay, I challenge you, the next time when you go back to schools, look at how they sit. It's quite eye-opening how they sit in class. It's, you know what I'm saying? So the tablet must be big enough for them to put their pencil case at whatever. So, you know, little things like that. By the way, all the chairs have wheels so that we can quickly get together and discuss. Right, so, but I'm almost on this evangelical pursuit. The chairs that I want would look like this. So please, anybody who knows or anybody who can make this happen for me, you will have my eternal gratitude. The reason is because this really conceptualizes, when I saw this, I say, this is the classroom that I want. If I cannot bring the kids out, then this is how the classroom would look like. The teacher doesn't know where to stand. And by the way, they do exist. They can be brought into Singapore. They just merely cost $500 a chair. So please, as I've said, I'm almost evangelical. Okay, but also practitioners as well. You need to get parents on board. I knew that incident in River Valley was an incident waiting to happen. We are very fortunate in that we started small, really a lot of buy-in, a lot of attending, but also understanding the SES of the parents involved and all. But getting the parents on board to the point, because they pay for the apps. No, a lot of, I realized as it was going along, it's all about power. Not power as in power. Power as losing control. The parents were very nervous that they are going to lose their kids to cyber issues that have to do with the cyberspace and stuff like that. But thankfully, yes, we were keeping finger on the pulse. We were asking, so is it meaningful? This was taken at the end of the year, yes, overall, and with that we went ahead. But you notice the recommend was, this is 1 to 5, standard deviation was a bit high. So what we did is, we decided that the girls would craft out the acceptable user policy. When can you use it? When should you not use it? In class, at home, you tell me. And I, guess what, we used Google Docs. So one of those days, I got my 4 classes, the pilot classes. We sat down in a lecture theatre like this. I brought them sandwiches. All right, sit down. Let's discuss this. Your parents are concerned. Sometimes you irritate your teachers as well. So can we craft out what's an acceptable user policy? Okay, so it's more of, like, it's a document where, okay, I hold you to it because you came up with it. And now that the whole of the Sec 2 level is on it, it's a document that will go, okay, this has been crafted. These are the rules that you came up and let's abide by them. But at the same time, it's still a continuing conversation. So this year, what we did to further get parents on board, we brought in somebody, John Larkin. I hear that he comes to NIE quite often as well, to do a workshop with parents as well. So to show the parents, this is how we use the iPad. It's not frightening. It's not bad. It's, and the activity was quite a meaningful activity. They were supposed to come up with a family history together. So the child and the family worked together to come up with a project, a PowerPoint on that. Of course, at the same time, we finger on the pulse of the girls' perception survey. Remember those areas I was talking about, whether it's engaging, whether metacognitively, yes, they are out there hands-on, but was their minds switched on? Is using the iPad more engaging? Are they learning more deeply? One of the things was, this morning I talked about a porous classroom, whether learning extends outside the classroom, as you were saying, in and out, whether it's collaboration. All these are things that was in my original concept of what we wanted. But at the same time, that's perception survey, and there's only this much we can trust of perception surveys. So what I did was I planted a research assistant. That sounds great. Actually, is my student who came back during her break, during university. I come out and sit down. I'll give you a stopwatch, and you sit down and you time the classes. Once the teacher just talk, teacher talk, information transmission, time how long it is, okay, and then just clock in how much time. When the teacher, there's teacher talk and there's teacher talk. I value teacher feedback to teacher just transmission. So please, when she gives feedback to a class discussion, somebody asks a question, time that for me. Same way, S would be student class discussion, student group work, student individual work, student reading, because a lot of the Sec 1, at this point, it was Sec 1 at that point in time when the research was done, there was langsong, they would read aloud and that kind of thing, so we had to put that in, and the use of media. And then we totaled it up. So what I was glad with was that there was definitely, if we total up all what I conceptualized to be student-centered activities, right, as conceptualized as class discussion, group discussion, and all that, there was more in the iPad classes. And I looked at it from term 1 and term 3, whether there was a difference. Slight difference in term 3, not so much. I was actually glad that it didn't dip. Half in my mind, I thought it would dip. For a simple reason, novelty has worn off. Number 2, nearer exams. That kind of thing. Term 1 is still... so actually, I was glad that it at least it didn't fall. It was marginally higher. Okay, but the more interesting thing I wanted her to do, apart from time, was to count for me the type of higher order, lower order questions. Okay, so whenever a teacher asked a question or tried to continue, or within the class itself, part of extension of class discussion, what kind of question does she ask to get the discussion going? If it's higher order question, it would be things like why, what do you think so, suggest, higher order questions, or lower order questions. What did she say? Did you hear her, or whatever it is, one of those, it will be lower order questions. At the same time, I wanted her, anytime within that class discussion setup, if a child asks higher order questions, like the ones I've mentioned, or lower, also to total that up. So if you add up all the blue ones, it would mean that all the percentage of, they should add up to 100. Right? In other words, of all the questions that were asked in class, either by the teachers or the students, higher order, lower order, they will all add up to 100. Yes, I'm glad that there seem to be more higher order questions compared with the lower order questions, because I think it would be a really silly teacher with all the information that's on the iPad to ask really factual questions. But my dream is that one day when I'm here to present again, if I'm so honored to be asked again, I would see that there are more questions on the student side rather than on the teacher side. Again, we tried it out term 1, term 3. Again, I was watching to see whether there was that novelty effect and stuff like that. But thankfully, that was not the case. I'm very conscious of the time. So what's next? What's next in this? Really, as I've said, Sec 2 classes, it looks like that, but that is not what we want. Really, I'm looking forward to bringing them out. Right now, it's the stuff that's out there, it does take up a lot of the teacher's time to put them together, but we are hoping that, okay, what you're about to see, if it's, imagine students doing it. This was just the teachers just fresh off last week trying something out. I think it was a mobile learning trail that is commercially available apparently by this particular company. If you're interested, just write to me and I'll fix you up. I don't want to advertise for them. But what we at Nanyang are hoping is that we will take over the content writing part of it. We'll just get all those processes that are in place. I'll just stop. By the way, do you all recognize this? Have you all used this before? This is from iMovie, which is also another thing that, thank goodness, is in the iPad now. Okay, oops, should say thank you. But again, the other thing that is incredibly easy to use, on the move, the kids capturing in terms of a movie, in terms of iMovie, with the laptop and all that kind of thing is a little bit difficult, but really with the touch interface is just drag and drop is really the easiest thing on earth. So with that, I finish at 2 o'clock. I would welcome any questions, comments, whatever it is, just please write to us at Nanyang. We welcome guests if you want to come and just chat with us. Thank you very much. Yeah.